Hey guys, so I have had a lot of requests to do some trend videos for you guys, and I wanted to go ahead and start the first one, and it is going to be packed full of all the information for things that you need to be working on now to go ahead and start ranking, selling, and preparing for the holidays. Because guys, I know that it is still 1,000 degrees outside in southern Mississippi, but now is the time that you have to prep in order to rank and get all of the things that you need to do early on so that you have a successful holiday season. We want Q4 to be wonderful. We want Q3 to be great for you guys. And in order to do that, you've got to do some prep work. So I have some Marketplace Insights tabs pulled up for you guys. I have done the last 12 months because I want to analyze this with you. And I also did a quick search in ChatGPT to give us some ideas on things that are trending so that you know which way to go in turn and what to start creating. So the first thing that I would do if you have not is I would finish up any of the back to school PNGs. So I have the full 12 months here. However, I want you to see from May to June how big of a jump that was in a monthly search. So in May, we had about 4,000 monthly searches for back to school PNGs. And I know that that's a very generic search term, but most people will probably start with back to school PNG. Or they may go, a trendy back to school PNG, and then they'll probably further go ahead and, what am I trying to say? They will try to restrict that further and get a little bit more specific at that point. So are they needing, fourth grade, fifth grade, kindergarten, preschool? Are we going high school? Are we going senior? So that is kind of where you go ahead and you start niching down a little bit further than just back to school PNGs. But this is just such valuable data here, guys. So we went from 4,000 searches a month in May. In June, we had 23,300, and we are already, and today is July the 8th, we're already at 13,000 searches for the month of July. So I did pull the 12th month because I wanted to show you guys for the back to school specific term, it's going to start trending back down after August. Obviously, most kids start in August and September unless you're doing like homeschooling where you're doing year round, but you still tend to kind of follow the trends a little bit sometimes with getting the new things, right? Because that's when the sales are going on and all the goodies. So I would definitely, if you don't have your back to school up, I would finish that out in the next week or two and then hit the ground running with any of your fall, Christmas, spirit wear, mascot, sports. Even if you're doing your evergreens, which is like yearly things, you want to go ahead and get those themes done in the upcoming holiday stuff. So if you're doing, I'm trying to think of just one right off the top of my head. My brain always goes to camping, but I mean, I guess people camp year round. I'm not going to go camping in 100-degree weather and all the bugs, but now people may start prepping for camping once the weather cools off. Maybe they want to start doing some camping stuff. So they may start looking now for what they want to purchase and have ready by September, October, when it started to cool off. The bugs are not as bad. And then they get to go hiking and camping and doing all the fun things. You do your bonfires, all the goodies. So that is what I would be working on. So finish up if you haven't done anything back to school and you're like, oh, well, I feel behind. You can do one of two things. You can spend the next 4 to 5 days or the next week doing some back to school stuff, or just skip this one and start working on holidays. It's not going to be detrimental. It's not going to be like the end of the world if you have to skip one so that you're better prepared for the next. Because I already have Halloween selling, I have fall selling, and I am even selling Christmas. Because I sell things to help people prep their products. So I'm selling clip art, I'm selling patterns. They need my things even earlier than the 3 to 4 months so that they can get products ready, so that they can go ahead and get products out and start getting pre-purchases for holiday seasons. So back to school, number 1, I'm going to go ahead and go to fall. So we're going to examine this a little bit. We are in July. So May had a little over 2,000 searches. June bumped up from 2,000 searches to over 10,000 searches. And we are already in the first week of July and we already have 5,600 searches monthly. So at the end of the July month, I foresee this being way up here. So if that's 10,000, we're probably going to be easily at 20, 30, 40,000 at the end of July. Now, August, this starts really peaking. August and September, you have 74,000 monthly searches in August for a fall PNG. Now, this is a very broad key term. I'm just wanting to show you guys the statistics and the information that Etsy is giving us, and then you niche down further into this, right? And that'll be at the end of this video. And then September is 76,000, almost 77,000. So not too big of a jump there. Usually from August to September, at least going off of 2025 data, there's a few thousand searches difference there. But if you look at June to August, that is a massive increase. So we want to start prepping now because people are purchasing the majority of the fall files in August and September. Now, let's go over to Christmas, right? So Christmas, I know it's like, oh my gosh, once again, it's 1,000 degrees outside. I don't want to think about Christmas. I don't want to think about fall. However, for the month of June, we're already at about 5,000 searches monthly for June for Christmas PNGs. Now, I do like that Etsy is giving us the conversion rates here. This is a broad keyword, so this probably doesn't convert well because people aren't just going to usually type in Christmas PNG and then click something, find something, and buy it. So probably would be looking for something a little bit more specific. But for general terms, we're already at over 3,000 monthly searches in the month of July. And that's only in the first week. I definitely foresee this being pretty high there. August usually starts popping off to about 26,000 as of 2025. September, we jump up to 63,000. October, 147,000 searches. So that's everybody finishing out their fall. They're trying to make sure all of their Christmas stuff is done and ready. Nobody likes to wait to the last minute, even though I tend to do so sometimes, to do all of the things for the holidays. And then November is our peak, as in that's the highest that we normally get with Christmas PNG searches, and that is going to be 230,000 as of 2025. And those are some major chances, guys, for you to niche down a little bit and get seen and get ranking and get some sales going. So the other thing that I wanted to show for this trend video, so we've done back to school PNGs, fall PNGs, and Christmas, which is the broad overview of things that you guys need to be working on, but also mascots. So anything school related that is not necessarily back to school. So think spirit wear, you've got football, baseball, softball, soccer, you've got volleyball coming up, all of the sports that the kids will be in. Then you have some that are a little bit highly searched, but a little bit less when it comes to people making the designs. You're probably going to have like some tennis and stuff like that. So you can look a little bit further niches for sports and things that are not quite as widely searched, but they have maybe a high conversion rate because there's not as many people making for those. That's where your sweet spots are. So anything mascots, anything spirit wear, school spirit wear, and these are some great terms right here. School spirit PNG, mascots. I will tell you that custom mascot, PSE custom team logo, be very careful with anything regarding team logos, guys, because if you're not doing just generic colors and mascot names that are widely known that could be used for any sport, you're going to start getting into infringement, and I do not want you to lose your shops. So just be very careful on that. But I'm going to type in custom mascot PNG. It wasn't populating at the bottom down there, but I did find it earlier, and it has a very high conversion rate. So an example that you could do is you could make a set of designs that have your Bulldogs and your Raiders and your Trojans and all of the Wildcats, all of the different things that are considered like major kind of universal types of mascots, right? But then you can also niche down further, do a custom in that same design style, and just literally put the words custom or that you offer a custom, and let them come in and do a custom order for you if it's an easy to do thing. So if you're doing alpha sets and things and you just have to swap around the letters, that would be so much easier than having to try to start from scratch. But you can offer these as custom, so maybe it's something that is a little more rare of a mascot and they don't really see it as often, so it's harder to find it, right? then they can say, okay, well, they didn't have what I already needed in their shop, but let me check out, pay usually I would say a little bit more. So maybe it's $2 or $3 more per PNG. Sometimes it could be up to $5 depending on how intricate it is. If everything's hand lettered and hand drawn, or if you're able to piece it together quickly. But that is where you're going to hit a niche that's a little bit of a sub niche, even of the back to school and the mascots and the sports, because customs are very high on Etsy. Etsy really thrives on doing custom, unique, tailored to the customer type of designs. So that if you have the time, if you have the patience, if you have the ability to do so, even if you don't offer a ton of customs, or maybe you say, okay, I offer this custom, but I only offer it for 2 at a time. So you only put 2 available. Then once you have finished those, then you can go in and restock them. But that is some thoughts for you guys there to do that. Now, I will say, I'm going to pop into my Etsy super quick before we hop over to chat. And I want to show you an example. So I don't have customs in my shop, but I've been getting my School Spirit Alpha sets up. But you see how I have kindergarten here? Well, I had someone, these started selling about 2 weeks after I listed them, but I had someone that needed something that wasn't kindergarten through 5th, right? They're like, well, I need, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. That is something that you could offer as a custom for them, or you could go ahead and make it and list it, because if one person needs it, the likelihood of a generic type of design for grade levels, somebody else is going to be looking for that, right? You could do custom names. There's so many different ways that you guys can do this. Let me go up to my sports really quick. So I'm doing these, and these are hand lettered, right? So I'm going to do different phrases and things. I could offer a custom phrase here and a custom two-word maximum phrase here with the same colors, and then I would just hand letter. Now that would take me a little bit more time than doing an alpha set, so I'd probably charge a little bit more for that. But those are just examples of ways that you guys can kind of take what you've already done and offer a customization option to increase your conversion rate, increase your sales. Just make sure that you're limiting how many you put. You don't want to put 999 customs, because if something starts to trend or it pops off and you have 100 orders, while that is such a blessing, that is going to stress you out if you're used to getting 3 to 5 orders a day. So the last thing I wanted to show you is I popped this over here into ChatGPT. And I was like, hey, I need some trendy phrases. And this was for fall, but it did a really good job of going over all of the different Etsy trends, right? Because Etsy tends to trend later than all the other platforms. I wouldn't necessarily go to Etsy to try to spot trends, because usually once they've made it to Etsy, they've been trending for a little bit. But like Pinterest and Target, and there's tons of different places that you can find early trends. But we've kind of all seen the bows have been around. Retro stripes have taken over the world. Checkered and gingham patterns are amazing. Western is doing great. And so I'm just going to read over what it says. And it says that it checked what's showing around Etsy fall search right now. And the strongest directions are cozy fall, pumpkins, ghosts and Halloween, coquette bows, retro preppy stripes, and checks. Checks is just going to be like checkered print or gingham print. And then Western Fall, Bookish Autumn, Football, Tailgate. Etsy's own trend report also points towards personal expression, nostalgic, comfort, and sparkle. So those are a lot of different things that you can use to niche down in the broad categories of fall, right? So you could do a Western checkered fall PNG, and that's going to be niche down enough to where you're not competing with hundreds of thousands of other search results. Maybe that's only 50,000 instead of 300,000 that you're now competing with. You don't want to niche down too much to where no one's looking for it, but there's so many ways that you guys can niche down and do this, right? So it says that Etsy's current fall market pages are also showing pumpkins, woodland cozy themes, ghosts, the coquette fall, the preppy Halloween, autumn digitals. Also, I wouldn't even say necessarily just the woodland, like animals and things, but we have seen the cute raccoons and the geese, the ducks. There are so many different animals that people can customize for all of the holidays, right? So you could do a goose with a Halloween design. You could do it with just a regular Thanksgiving fall, a Christmas, a football, bookish, you name it, you can do it, right? And then you're already hitting a few different niches, and it's niching you down while still being trendy and still being something that people are searching highly for. So I hope that this has helped. I know it's kind of a long trend video, being at 15 minutes right now, but I really wanted you guys to get some insight in when I am doing research. I want to do this research before I start creating. And then I want to create off of that, because if you're making things that you like but that aren't selling, I know that makes you feel good, and it's great to do if you're doing them for days that maybe you have just some, I'm not going to work, I'm just going to do some inspiration, what I want 2 days. But you really need to be doing the research first, so you're not wasting time on things that aren't selling, right? So on days that we're working, on days that we're not doing inspo days, or I'm taking a brain break, we want to make sure that we're using our time wisely and we're not getting stuck in this roundabout circle of creating things that aren't selling. So you always want to start with your research, and then you go off of there. And Etsy does show down here below all of the different bestsellers and things. So you can see stripes are everywhere. Stripes are everywhere. I've been seeing a lot of this type of shape here. So that is really helpful. And they give you all of the bestsellers right there under the search term. So you have somewhat of a guide on, maybe there's different colors or patterns or a design style that you can use and then make that yours. So please do not copy pixel for pixel. Don't make it so close that you're like, okay, who made this, right? You want it to have your style on it, just like the stripes. Stripes have been trending and the dotty patterns have been trending for years. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of combine a few of my different things that I've done with my pretty bows and my hand lettering and the stripes. And I did a bow specifically for the stripes. And then I niched down, right? And people are really enjoying this. So I hope that this has helped. I'm super excited to see what you guys make. And drop in the comments any things that you guys need to do for my Skool membership people here. You guys drop in the community over there all the different things. And if you want to join, that is free. So I will have that linked below in the YouTube video so you guys can join and chat with designers and do all the things. Thanks so much.